What's being missed in Dame Dash's interview with the Breakfast Club? And damn it, 2 days in a row, my video is unlisted on YouTube. Come on now, sorry about that. Let me go ahead and do this. I gotta, y'all salute everybody on Twitter, salute everybody on Twitch, but YouTube don't even know that I'm live because it's listed as unlisted public. Boom. There we go. There we go. Sorry about that, y'all. For everybody watching on the replay, sorry about this mix-up at the beginning, twice in a row. But business is business. I don't have an assistant director. I don't have somebody. Most of these podcasts, you watch Candace Owens, she got somebody in the background doing all that. Over here, it ain't nobody in the background doing none of that. Person you see, me, is the person doing everything. I'm not going to be one of those podcasts like one of the podcasts I used to be on, where there's a whole team of people, but the host is like, this is all mine. I've been down that road. Not doing it again. That's why I just come over here and do my own thing. Let me put this up on Twitter, then we're gonna get it going. All right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna put this up on Twitter and we're gonna get started in about 30 seconds. All right? Let's go. All right. No more dilly-dallying around. Let's go. No more dilly-dallying around. Make sure y'all hit the share button. Make sure y'all hit the share button, y'all. Let people know that we live. We're going to talk about what happened in the interview with the Breakfast Club and Dame Dash. If you have not seen that interview, please go see it. It is hilarious. I love this interview because the interview is rude. It's a lot of bullshit going on. A lot is low-key disrespectful, and I love it. I love a good shit-talking time, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of shit-talk exchange. But also, it was some cappage. It was some cappage in there, some cappage. Some half-truths getting discussed, you know? There's a few half-truths. You know, but it's also like all Dame Dash interviews, a lot of game. But what I've been seeing online is, like Dame Dash said about those two in the studio, a lot of people are too goddamn stupid to pick up game. Let's just tell it what it is. Can we dive right into it? Most people are stupid, you know, and I don't blame them. It's America's fault. Our miseducation system creates stupid people. Wasn't that many stupid Americans in 1969 of any race if they went through the education system because the education system taught critical thought. We live in a world where people say Charlie Kirk was a great debater, and you niggas don't know a goddamn thing about debate. You don't know anything about the fallacies, all them post hoc, ergo propter hoc fallacies that motherfucker was given, all of those ad hominem attacks, all of those things that are totally against the rules of debate. To anyone who's ever been in a college level debate, like I have, be the first ones to be like, Charlie Kirk is a good debater. Why? Because he speaks clearly? That's how dumb motherfuckers are today. You know what I mean? Just get somebody to speak clearly, then yeah, they're good. No, nigga, all them fallacies, he will get kicked out. That's why he's debating students and not smart people, because smart people will rip apart them fallacies. Or at least someone trained in rhetoric like I am, who can rip apart a fallacy like that. But America's stupid, all right? And this is, again, no disrespect. People are trained to get jobs. People are trained, critical thought is not a thing talked about. So what happens is, when I go into the stupid part, someone like Dane can give you a boatload of information that you can use, but you'll get hung up on something on the side that he said and be like, well, he don't like Jay-Z though, man. It sounded like he was hating on Jay-Z, and why was he calling Charlamagne gay, and why did he keep standing up and walking around? That's what I mean by stupid. You missed the game. But and fact of the matter is, Dane does cap. He does bullshit. He does put on. He does too much. Yes, he does. All that. Just like Donald Trump, all that. Doing way too much. But within the too much is gems. And when I'm watching a lot of these reactions to the video, very few, if anybody out there, is picking up the gems. And there's plenty of gems dropped. And I personally think it's because a lot of people were triggered when he was calling Charlamagne and Envy dumb. Because most people see themselves in Charlamagne and Envy. So when he was calling them dumb, a lot of people out there took it as him calling them dumb. So let's break this down. What's up, chat room? What's up, everybody in the chat? Appreciate y'all for joining. Mogul Maze, I appreciate the super chat off the top of the super chat. Appreciate that. People rarely pick up on game. You goddamn right, Mogul Maze. People don't pick up on game. But that's what this channel's here for. Because this is the channel of there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those willing to pick up the game. That's what this channel is about. So we sift through the bullshit, because it was bullshit. I'm not going to sit there and act like this nigga's a saint. He's very arrogant, very brash, but I respect Dame Dash. Because at the end of the day, people were talking about his teeth falling out and his eye patch. But what I see is respect for somebody who's willing to show themselves when they're looking dilapidated and decrepit as he's been looking. He was just as confident. I said confidence. He was just as confident as he was 20 years ago when he was still a fly guy and was talking about how much money he had. So I respect that level of integrity. Are you willing to go in front of camera when you ain't looking at your best and still hold your confidence? I appreciate that. Whereas most people are dissing it, I look at that as true integrity. Yeah, it's easy to show your face when you're winning. You know what I mean? It's easy to go to the post-game report and stay on the court and shake hands when you won the game. But when you lost the game, do you leave the court early? Don't want to speak to nobody, LeBron James? Put my head down. That's no integrity. Be who you are when you losing. Be the same person you are when you losing as you are when you winning. And with that, that's all it takes for me to have respect for somebody. You know what I mean? Even when I don't agree. Dame's a fly guy. I don't like fly guy niggas. I'm not the kind of person I probably would never in a million years hang around Dame Dash outside of a business. Let's talk business. I would definitely talk business with that man. But outside of business, man, I probably wouldn't. I probably couldn't last 3 seconds around him. All that fly guy talk. I don't really fuck with niggas that look at people on the outside and be like, that's what they are. Like, yeah, no. I need a little more depth than that. And then I look at all the guys that Dame Dash has put on. Uh, Cameron acting like a weirdo right now. Kanye weirdo. Jay-Z weirdo. I mean, you go down the list of who he's put on. He's put on a lot of weird guys. You know what I mean? And so at some point, you got to look at the motherfucker putting on all these weirdos kind of in a weird way too. You know what I mean? If everybody's coming, if everybody you put on don't fuck with you no more, you got to look at you. So I'm not here to say Dame Dash is perfect. That's not what this show is going to be about today. It's not here to talk about Dame Dash being some perfect orator of goodwill. No, it's about picking up the gems this obviously flawed messenger dropped. All right? So let's get into it. All right? Let me see here. Let me close some of these other windows so my shit can move right. Let me close some of these other windows. Oh, also quick update, Patreon. Patreon. I changed path. I told y'all I was gonna do a history of jazz course. I'm gonna push that off. My next course is gonna be a history of R&B, and that's gonna be on. I just introduced a new tier. It's a $40 a month music history tier on Patreon. I just announced that tier. Where I'll be doing my courses there instead of paying $300 for 8 week course, just $40 a month for all of them. And this history of R&B course, this is going to be a 10-part course. Okay, this is going to be a 10-part course. We're gonna break history down. We're gonna break R&B down to the finest minute details. So you can go right now to patreon.com/DejuanB, and it's the Music History University. And that will open you to all the levels below it. Pay annually and save. Salute to everybody that took advantage of being grandfathered into the previous tier that was $25 a month. Salute to all y'all that took advantage. I might open it back up one more time. I don't know. I'm not because I'm gonna stay loyal to the people who paid who upgraded to the $25 level, and when I told y'all to do that. So yeah, y'all made that. So from here on out, this is what it is. But you can save 20% if you pay annually. But the next course is a 10-part series on the history of R&B. I'm going to show you R&B's LA roots with the recording industry, how R&B got LA off the ground when it came to recording. We're going to talk about Louis Jordan, Fats Waller. We're going to go back a little bit in history before that, talk about coon songs from back in the late 1800s. And then we're going to bring that and how we got to today's R&B. It's a 10-part series complete with workbooks, study guides. You're going to get a syllabus, you're going to get workbooks, and you're going to get playlists. So it's much different than here on YouTube. That stuff comes with work and handouts and that I put together myself. I spend a lot of hours. I usually spend at least 3 to 4 hours prepping for every single class. It takes me at least 3 to 4 hours to put my slides and everything together. So yeah, it costs. I put some effort into that. So go to Patreon right now and sign up. And we're gonna start this history of R&B class real soon. All right. So with that being said, thank you. Let's get into it. Let me go to my time steps. So first part I want to talk about.
You just cut me off. I was talking. You just.
First thing I want to talk about. You all right, Rocky? Is him talking about. It was something that he missed. I mean, that he mentioned here, talking about how to perceive wealth. He was talking about the loan. Let me see here. Where was it at? Where is it at? Where is it at?
I mean, so I did it and I timed it where it would come out when this comes out. So tomorrow there'll be an announcement. Also,
Oh, he's talking about the announcement right there with Revolt. Let's start off with this announcement about him being the chairman of Revolt.
Putting, because I've already made my paid in full. I made that already.
Let me go back. Rocky, what you doing right there? Where is it at? Where's that part? I'm looking for a part. Come on now, stop bullshitting. Come on. In the next 30 days, I'm going to be a chairman. Let's break down why. I can understand why people are saying cap, but you got to pay attention. No, is Dame Dash the new chairman of Revolt? Technically, yes. Technically, no. It was announced in Vibe magazine yesterday that he is going to be chairman for what? 30 days. He's going to basically, for the next 30 days, I guess, have control over content that he's going to put out on Revolt. So, is he the new permanent chairman of Revolt? No. Is he going to act as a 30-day chairman based on these new TV shows that he has putting out? Yes. So, that's why I say Dame's not the perfect messenger, because he's such a floss, look at me, look at me, look at me guy. He says things in a way that really blows the spot up. It really blows up what it is. And then when you look into it, it'd be like, yeah, you're right, but. So I get why people reacted the way they reacted. But at the same time, he is right. He's chairman of, he's an acting chairman, and it's not the real chairman position. He's not taking over the board. So, and look at it right here. It says Dame Dash has been named chairman of Revolt TV, a position the entrepreneur and executive with him for the duration of 1 month. On Tuesday, September 16th, the 54-year-old and the network announced news of the appointment, which is effective immediately and will see Dame Dash bring his own content on Revolt's from his own platform, American New Network, to Revolt TV. And this is why I say people are stupid. People are going around, he's the chairman, he's the chairman, yeah. Shut up. Did he say it in a slick way? Yes. But is he the chairman according to Revolt and him for the next 30 days? Yes. Yeah, he is. And I personally think it's a good thing for him to take his TV shows to Revolt. Let's see how well the TV shows do. See, a lot of these people are just so busy to see. See, the thing is, we've been trained to shit on Dame Dash and elevate Jay-Z. Those two black men have been pitted against each other, partially because of some of the moves Jay-Z did, but more so the way media, people like Leo Cohen and the people behind the scenes have really blown up their relationship. And so we're all taught to follow the Jay-Z route, not the Dame Dash route, which is true independence. had Dame Dash and Jay-Z stood together, where they would be right now, who knows? Who knows how far those brothers could have gone together? One thing I do know, they could have gone together a lot further together than they could apart. But they don't want us looking like that. There was a man named Leo Cohen, according to Dame Dash, who came and got in the middle, took one over here, and did the other one like, the same way, according to Professor Griff, Leo Cohen did between Chuck D and the rest of Public Enemy, according to Professor Griff. I don't know. I wasn't there. This is just me cataloging different interviews I've heard from these people. Okay? So we're always taught to shit on, and it's the people like Charlamagne that are used as the tools to shit on Dame Dash to promote Jay-Z. So let's go into talking about this part right here, about the loan.
Already, it's already trademarked. You don't have to clear the rights because we lived it. You know what I'm saying? So
What he's talking right there is what a lot of people do in business, and it's true. Most business people do not put up their own money. They deal in lines of credit. They deal in investors, and when you deal with investors, you deal with people's point of view on what you have to get done. And that's part of the reason why I crowdfunded for my documentary series. It's taking me forever. Me and Hassan is still working on it's bigger than hip hop, my gospel doc. But if I took big money from people to do it, they then would control the message of my docu series on music. And I don't want people controlling the message of my docu series on music. So you do think if you want to be the boss, you got to pay the cost. BB King told us about that. James Brown taught us about that. Snoop taught us about that. If you want to be the boss, you got to pay the cost.
1, 2, get. Paid the cost to be the boss.
You got to pay the cost. And what Dame is trying to do is point out that unlike what he's doing in this part, he's sort of setting everybody up to really talk about Jay-Z. But he's talking about Jay-Z in a way that is going over Envy and Charlamagne's head. So I want to break this part down, because you got to pay the cost to be the boss. You know what I mean? If you want to do what you want to do, you got to do that.
Shame. You don't act like
BB King said.
That you got me.
Happy birthday, BB King. I'm paying the cost to be the boss. James Brown took it. And then Snoop took it from there. You got to pay the cost to be the boss. And this is the point that people keep missing when it comes to a lot of the things that Dame is saying. A lot of y'all going around talking about well, Jay-Z got more money, and Jay-Z, if you ain't putting up the money, you ain't the boss. And so what Charlamagne and Envy will do is they'll sort of play up on people's ignorance, really understanding that most people don't understand the essence of what Dame is saying. When it comes to companies like Rock Nation, who put the money up? Live Nation. So he's sort of setting them up for that. And people miss this point, what he's talking about, and part of the reason why Dame Dash, quote unquote, went broke. Let's break that part down right there. That's something that most people really get wrong when they're talking about these people. What Forbes says somebody is worth is a lie. People don't understand that. Entertainers pay to put their names in Forbes on those lists. The real money don't want to be on nobody's goddamn list. You cannot trust those numbers. What he's talking about is what do y'all know about this? Let me put it up. This just happened recently right here. It wasn't 180 million, but you know, Jay and Bay's home is worth 113. And they just took out a $57 million mortgage on their property. A 30-year mortgage. If you're worth $1 billion, why do you need a 30-year loan taking out $50 million? What Dame is trying to show people is this stuff here is a shell game, and what you looking at ain't what you seeing. And in part of the interview, which I'm not going to cover on this part, where he talks about Donald Trump filing for bankruptcy 6 times. Bankruptcy is what the wealthy do. And when the wealthy need money, they don't take out mortgages. They take out lines of credit. Wealthy people that don't use their own money to invest take out lines of credit. Meaning, here's the difference for those you don't know. I'm gonna go back to my old days when I used to do mortgage. A loan a loan is for $57 million means when they signed and closed and recorded that loan, a check for $57 million was given to them. And here it says at a 5% rate, which is going to cost them probably a few $100,000 a month in a mortgage payment. What the wealthy do is, if they need $57 million, they'll take out a line of credit for $100 million. And they'll use that line of credit and pay as they go. You don't take out the whole lump sum and pay interest on it right away. That's hustling backwards. You take out a line, and as you use it, 5 million at a time, 10 million at a time, you just pay back on the part that you used. You take out a loan when you're in me and your situation, our situation, us. We ain't wealthy. When you take out a loan that big, it's basically living how me and you live, just on a higher level. Better toys, a bigger house. But it's the same shit. Dame is trying to really puncture the illusion. But so many people are illusioned by the whole Jay and Bay thing. You're not hearing what the man is saying. You're not hearing what the man is saying. And yeah, when I back in my loan days, you're right, the wealthy do look broke. They really do. You buying houses and LLCs, you buying it under foundations, you paying the mortgage out of this, out of that, secret foundations and this and that. You don't have things in your name. You don't take out loans. But what with the reaction channels is so Dame Dash this they these motherfuckers are not giving you the game. And I'm not speaking as a financial expert. I'm not a financial expert. I've just been blessed enough to be around a few of them. And I used to work in mortgage. So I know a little bit about what I'm talking about just based off past work experience, especially when I did hard money loans. When I did hard money loans, I've done loans. The main reason why I know about Benedict Canyon and Laurel Canyon and the flats of Beverly Hills, y'all who been, I'm not gonna go back over that anymore. My long time listeners know the reason why I can have these kind of discussions with y'all on this show is because I did the shit for 10 years. Shit, doing mortgage, I paid my way through college cash. So although I don't do this stuff anymore, I don't act like I'm a current expert. I know a little bit about this because mortgage allowed me to go to Cal State Northridge and pay my way through college cash. Not owing no goddamn debt when I got my degree, paid in full. So listen to what the brother is saying. I like listening to Dame Dash because he reminds me of so many things that I done forgot about and also need to hear. So let's go to this next part.
Same respect you giving the room.
That part right there. And this happens a lot on the internet. People say things like, going back to Charlie Kirk. He say things like, per capita, Black Americans have the most crime. Black Americans are the most violent people. But when you dig further in the research, you understand, and you do your own research, you understand that per capita does not tell you the story. Because when you isolate black crime can be isolated down to economic conditions. And when you put people in the similar economic conditions across racial lines, you see that crime is all about at the same rate when the economic conditions are the same. Per capita doesn't account for when you move Black Americans outside of the bottom class, when you move us into the middle class and upper middle class, crime cease to exist. Black people in the middle class don't scam. It doesn't mention the types of crimes. We don't do Ponzi schemes as middle class Black people. We don't scam. We don't steal from businesses and do fraud as middle class Black people. We don't do strong arm robbery. All of those crimes, for the most part, become almost non-existent when we are moved out of a particular economic class. Versus when you look at people of other racial backgrounds, stealing $18 million in PPP loans, those Armenian people that had done, that lady in Jamaica that stole like $33 million. That's not what Black Americans do. Black folks don't have crime rings. We don't have high level wealthy people that are part of organized crime. Our crime is for the poor folks. The Black folks with money don't have organized crime. We don't have crime syndicates. So going back to what Dame was saying about the dangers of talking when you don't do your research, when you just hear something and go say it, you spread lies. You spread information, misinformation. You spread things that aren't true. And when you have a microphone, you got to be responsible for things that you say. You got to be responsible for things that you say. So we got to understand that. Yeah, stats are meant to manipulate. Stats is shit that you throw out there for stupid people to make them feel like they're hearing something smart. So We gotta point that out. And let's go to this next part that he said. That I want to go. Envy keeps going back. A billionaire. He's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. I'm glad Envy's doing it because this is how most of you niggas talk. Press the number one if you've talked to a Jay-Z stan, y'all, and you talk about A, B, and C, and their response is, but he's a billionaire. Press the number one if you've heard that, chat room. Please press the number one if you've heard that. Because I know I've heard that. Matter of fact, let me go in the chat right now and press the number one 3 times. 1, 2, 3, goddammit. What's up, Herbal Intellect? Hey, Herbal Intellect, you got a reading, brother, that you haven't taken advantage of. Another one, inbox me, email me on the Patreon side, brother. If you're on my Patreon and you ain't got your shit, your readings or your reports, email me. I do good business with everybody, goddammit. If I miss something, it's because communication. Salute to Herbal Intellect, long-time supporter. Long-time supporter of Herbal Intellect. Appreciate you, brother. But I want to do right by you. You've been supporting, but you ain't taking advantage of your support, my brother. Take advantage of your support. You know what I mean? Good dude. But, so, when it comes down to it, you see what he's saying. They always go back to, but Jay-Z's a billionaire. But LeBron's a billionaire. But Michael Jordan's a billionaire. But Kanye's a billionaire. It's like people are so infatuated with wealth. And all this shit changed in the 80s. Before the 80s, Americans inherently understood wealthy people are criminals. See, people that know money or at least have a vague understanding of money know that when you get to that billionaire status, usually now you're getting into criminal activity. It is an American parable. We didn't create this. It is an American parable that behind every great fortune is a great crime. They say that to describe the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the DuPonts, and all of these names that like to hide themselves. Behind every great fortune is a great crime. Mark Zuckerberg, y'all saw the way he stole Facebook from his roommate? When did we forget that? And I'm not calling Jay-Z a criminal. I'm not saying that. Desi Perez, but that's another story. I'm not calling Jay-Z a criminal. But what I am saying is, this is bigger than Jay-Z. We used to understand when people got to the point to where they're just stacking on, that takes a level of psychosis. Because nobody needs that much money. Yeah, allegedly. Nobody needs that much money. Normal people will be like, okay, I got what I'm going to spend. Normal people understand that, hey, look, this money got to get pushed back out into the world, because the more money the world got to spend, the less they're going to look at me and the more customers I'm going to have. You got to be very you're a sociopath when it comes to stacking on that level. Most billionaires on that level are sociopaths. But you'll get people say, but someone is a billionaire. That's some shit that we got to stop culturally. You got to know that if the more wealth somebody has, the more likely they stole it from somebody. America, just pay attention to movies before the 80s. TV shows before the 80s. During the 80s and before. Go watch Gordon Gekko, Wall Street. Go watch these movies from even into the 90s. A lot of your movies in the 80s and into the 90s were telling you about the disease of wealth. What's up, DeAndre Mosley said, remember the nonprofit black people who stole The weed dispensary license from California before they were actually going to do so. A type of crime black people don't do right. Yeah, when they were taking those licenses and getting those licenses, man, yeah, Wall Street. So when you just say, but somebody's a billionaire, you're basically saying, but that person's a criminal. Yeah, Boiler Room was another one. Bruce's Million. Trading Places was probably the best. Wolf of Wall Street showed it, yeah. But I would go so far as to say Trading Places is probably the greatest movie of all time when it comes to discussing the haves and the have-nots. You saw Duke and Duke. These motherfuckers had all the goddamn money, and they were willing to pay Clarence Beeks more than they were paying Winthorpe. Winthorpe was making them all this money, but they was cutting Clarence Beeks bigger checks than Winthorpe so that they could steal. They were so possessed on stealing, they paid Clarence Beeks all that money, more than Winthorpe. And their greed is what got them basically kicked off the exchange. Yeah, the TV show Billions, yeah. And then we got taught all those you get taught all those lessons. And this dude told me something, but they's a billionaire. That's how most of you niggas talk. That part right there happens a lot, man. I heard Steve Harvey talk about this. Y'all remember when Steve Harvey went back on the road? This is why I gained a lot of respect for Steve Harvey. When he went back, remember he retired from stand-up comedy, then he started going back on the road? The reason why Steve Harvey went back on the road was because all those millions he had been making. The tax bill is old, it's due. His tax accountant was taking out the check, the cashier's check, the quarterly tax statement, and for Steve Harvey to sign and send off, except for the tax person wasn't sending the check off to the government. He was keeping the check and cashing it himself. And so Steve Harvey ended up owing years and years and years of back taxes because his accountant was doing that. This happens a lot, y'all. It personally happened to people I know, and I've heard it happen to other people. This happens. It also happened to some musicians who I don't know if they're comfortable enough with me telling their names, but I know some legendary musicians, some legendary singers and producers who, if I said their names, you guys would know who they are. But these were conversations that we had in confidence, and I don't talk about conversations in confidence. But just trust and believe. Some of the bigger names who worked with some of the biggest artists, I've personally seen them lose houses over this exact scenario. They thought they paid their taxes and they person didn't. And then so people ask, okay, what ended up happening? In the case of my doctor, he found out after his tax person died. And the same thing with somebody else, a person you know. They found out after their tax person died. They get a tax bill and their tax person been dead for 2 years. Others, they found ways to you can sue. You know what I mean? You can get them criminally prosecuted. But if they ain't got the money, which they don't, you're not getting any of it back. So the reason why I call the Breakfast Club a stupid ass show, and it's a whole bunch of stupid ass niggas reviewing this, it's a lot of shit that we can pick up on. Because hopefully one day you in the situation to where you cashing big checks. A lot of y'all got ideas. A lot of y'all got plans and projects. A lot of y'all got genius. A lot of y'all are one step away. And God forbid that step comes and you get caught up in the same scenario. Dame is talking a lot about how to hide your money and also how to watch your money when you're dealing with nefarious people and what real money is. Because these niggas are sitting around giggling the whole goddamn show like a couple sissies. Good information getting passed up on because niggas want to straight up corny shit.
A white man did that. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, like I said, how you gonna say I'm broke because I owe $20 million and you never seen a nigga in your life pay $20 million? Why do y'all?
If you owe $20 million, that means you made a lot of goddamn money. If you owe $20 million, it's because you claimed a lot of money. And we all know people make way more than what they claim. People make a lot more than what they claim. But if you owe 20, that means you made at least 100. Maybe more. But if you owe 20, you made 100. Am I lying? That's what you document you made. So pay attention. Where is the money? Who is who? The person taking out the loan? And even when you research a tax person, and I'm glad you wrote that DSM, a lot, you know how it happens? You know how it happens, and I've seen this happen? Here's another trap I want to give you that I've seen. People get referred people all the time. You dig? I want y'all to watch a little bit of this. I want y'all to watch a little bit of it. I'm gonna go back. Now we're gonna switch it up to when Dame starts talking about the imagery that's put out on the Breakfast Club. I want to talk about this for a second. Let's see here. Come on, timestamp. Here we go. He said a few things right there. One, you should give respect to Whitney Williams. But two, they're right. There's a certain style of man that's been promoted through the mainstream over the last 20 years that Charlamagne represents. It's the reason why there's a reason why Drake can get to the top of the charts and that punk ass music that he makes. It's the reason. It's a certain style of over the last 20 years, we've had this passive aggressive kind of mealy mouth, very effeminate style man that's gotten the microphone. Whether it be LeBron James in sports, Jay-Z in music, Drake, people like Charlamagne on the radio, Billy Porter, it's all the same shit. It's very passive. I'm better than you because, hey, I'm a billionaire. He's a billionaire, so he's better than you. You know, the slick comments, the saying things off to the side, not addressing things face to face. Although I do have to give Charlamagne credit for having Dame Dash back on it. I'm not going to totally shit on him because even though Dame is saying what he's saying, Charlamagne and Envy both at least had the man back on the show. So I got to give him credit for that, because we all knew when we saw Dame Dash was back on the Breakfast Club, we all knew the bullshit was coming. But that still doesn't take away from the point of there's a particular style guy that's been pushed to the front lately, to the forefront. And we all see it. We all see it. Taj Dollars, appreciate the super chat. Yeah, come out to the Hidden History Museum October 4th. Me, Larry, Scroncho, Sidney Castillo, Brandon White. It's going to be a great show. The Gorilla, a 19-year-old from Atlanta, trying to get an LLC. Any financial books? Read a major book I want you to read is The Richest Man in Babylon. Read The Richest, if you want a financial book, read The Richest Man in Babylon. Learn how to get control of your finances that you have now before you folk worry about getting bigger finances. Get control of your finances now. Read the book Richest Man in Babylon. That'll teach you how to control what you make now and put you on a certain level to attract more money your way. And salute to my man Antonio Everett from Dallas that gave me that recommended that book to me. He listens to the show sometimes. Also, yeah, read Powernomics by Claude Anderson. Yeah, right. Exactly. But this is what he's talking about. You know, there's been a certain style of feminine male that's been pushed. Men that like playing with bussy dolls like he do. Like, just is very, why, if you say something that another man don't like, why you hating? I swear I can't stand niggas. If I introduce a particular thought and somebody's response is why you hating, I know right away I can't be around nigga like you long. I'll be like, all right, Larry in the chat room, he'll tell you, Larry has seen me do this. We'll be talking to somebody and we'll be having a good time, we'll be smoking, whatever, chilling. You know, then we'll get into a particular in-depth conversation and somebody come back and be like, so why you hating? That nigga Larry has seen me plenty of times be like, you know what? All right, man, you have a good one, dog. Because I'm not going to sit there and argue with you. I'm not going to go back and forth with somebody who thinks an opposing point of view is hate. Not going to do it, sir. But that particular style of guy is all over the media today. Why you hating on Bron? Why you hating on Obama? Why you hating on Jay-Z? All I said was Obama wasn't for us. Obama's first move when he got into office was to give the banks all the money. He made gay marriage a thing but ignored black people. He made the tech industry money go through the roof. Obama wasn't for us. You say that, they'd be like, so why you hating on Obama? I literally gave you political moves that he made that put us behind the 8 ball. The fuck do you mean hating? God, you niggas are stupid. And that's why I agree with what Dame, like people are retarded. We gotta bring back the word retard. We gotta bring back the word retard. People are retarded. You could easily come out and be like, man, I don't like the way, man, me personally, I like oranges. You know what I mean? Oranges are my favorite fruit. They're juicy. I like the way they taste. They hydrate me. Man, that don't mean you gotta hate on cherries, though. Who the fuck brought up cherries? I'm just talking about how much I like oranges. Oranges are my favorite fruit. I like them peeled. I like oranges sliced. I like navel oranges. I like all kinds of oranges, and you're asking me why am I hating on cherries? You retarded motherfucker. How many chat room? How many times have you been or seen a similar situation? You be talking about, man, my favorite car is Cadillac. Man, I like my granddaddy had a Cadillac. My uncle had Cadillac. My daddy had Cadillac. Man, ain't nothing better than a Cadillac. Man, but why you hating on Mercedes though, man? Mercedes make good cars too. Those kind of people are retarded. Let's name them what they are. I remember a time, do y'all, chat room, do y'all remember the 80s and the 90s when retarded people shut the fuck up? Even the early 2000s. Do y'all remember there was a time that where if you were retarded, the rest of us would have never known? We'd be like, oh, that nigga quiet. He always got some clean sneakers on though. That clean sneaker nigga quiet. Then the motherfucker. You don't know that nigga retarded. He only talk when you're talking about football. Because that retarded nigga know football. He can tell you everything about Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith and Junior Seau. But that retarded motherfucker knew the minute the conversation left from football to shut the fuck up. Because people were embarrassed to be retarded. Nowadays, retardation is represented on the radio. Dame Dash literally talked about how I don't have a boss. I'm a boss because I use my own money. I'm a boss. Then the minute he says who used their own money, Charlamagne, but I thought you said you were a boss. Nigga. Figure the space is about to get me in trouble. I almost repeated what he said. Alicia D, you know what I'm talking about? That's why you laughing. You know what I'm talking about. It make you want to Terrence Crawford somebody. Retarded people used to, when you knew you didn't know something about something, you just shut the fuck up. When you know something, when you in a room with somebody that know a little bit more than you about something, you kind of know it. You kind of feel it. The reason why I know about this stuff that's going on with the loans and the lines of credit is because when I'm around financial experts, you know what I do? I shut the fuck up. I know a little bit of some, but I don't know what they know. And these people know how to get to money. So their knowledge trumps whatever the fuck I'm talking about. I'm not about to sit around and talk about well, in black music, and this and that. No, fuck black music right now. My ears is open. Now is the time to talk about black American music history. Now is my time to shut the fuck up and listen to these cats. It ain't my time to talk about how many books I done read when the goddamn financial, when the money guys is talking. As a matter of fact, let me record this shit, put it in my AI, and so that way I'm gonna take this recording and put it in my AI note taker. Make sure I don't miss nothing. When people that know money talk, their talk trumps political talk. It trumps basketball talk. It trumps Music talk, definitely trumps gossip. When the money people are talking, you shut the fuck up. Even if you've heard that story 10 times, listen to it again. That's what I mean by these are a bunch of stupid motherfuckers. That part was very profound. Confidently saying things to millions of people when you're not saying anything. James Brown talked about that. Talking loud and saying nothing. That's something that Dame hit on real well. You know, it's not a good example to have in front of and to have kids talking loud and saying and listening to people who ain't saying nothing. James Brown talked about that. Just talking loud and saying nothing. I'm gonna take these music parts out. So if you're on a replay, you miss some dope ass music breakdowns. You gotta listen to me live if you want to hear the music. But like James Brown said, when you just on the radio, when you just on the microphone running your mouth, you're like a dull knife. Just ain't cutting. You talking loud and saying nothing. Don't tell me hip hop started in some goddamn Brunswick, 15s, 20s Cedric, Cool Herc bullshit. That was 1970. James Brown writing, rapping, talking loud and saying nothing. That's what we don't need in front of our youth anymore. We've been overexposed. We've been overexposed to black men and women with a microphone talking loud and saying nothing. You damn right, Quan. That's why the powers that be gave them a huge platform. Because they ain't talking about shit relevant to move the needle. You goddamn right. Yeah, Miss Mickey Jones, popping your chops, chewing the fat. You know, well, my grandmother used to always say, you ain't doing nothing but moving hot air. You just moving all the hot air around. It's already the summertime, nigga. It's already hot. You just making more hot air.
You know,
part hurt people the most when he said that you ran from a fight. I can't do that. I have to confront my issues. That's why Ellis, too many mics, not enough voices. This is something that they discourage a lot of us, and I was part of the my youth. I'm 44, and it started when I was a kid. Thank God I still had a dad in the house that'd be like, you better punch that motherfucker in the nose. But avoiding confrontation. And it's best to avoid confrontation, it is. But sometimes you're faced off with confrontation. Sometimes you can avoid, but confrontation comes to you and it stares you in the eye. What you gonna do? And in the 80s and in the 70s and in the 60s, when confrontation looks you in the eye, you punch back. You didn't let confrontation get the best of you. That's what the Karate Kid was about. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna keep you down. You better go find yourself a Mr. Miyagi and deal with it. Because it's not just about fighting, it's about how you deal with problems. What happened when, because it transfers over. Let's take that example. Let's remove this out of fighting. Let's go back to the beginning of the year. I did a show on this channel on this topic. Y'all remember when Charlamagne went back to Andrew Schultz's show, the Brilliant Idiot show? Y'all remember when he went back? Everyone was waiting on if he was going to confront Andrew Schultz for what he had to say about Kendrick Lamar. And what did Charlamagne do? I was on vacation. What happened between you and Kendrick Lamar? I don't know. That was confrontation. That white boy, for as pro-black as Charlamagne talks, that white boy disrespected the fuck out of Black America. And Charlamagne did the same shit 50 Cent did. You wasn't that bad. Goofballed up. Straight up coward down. Instead of confronting him, be like, no, yeah, there is a limit. We're not the same as your people. Because if I say something about your people, Schultz, if anybody named last name Brown or named Leonard, last name Smith or Williams, Johnson, if you say something about the last people that descend from the last name Schultz, you will get canceled. So you can't draw that equivalence. But Charlamagne didn't have the nuts to say that. That's what Dame means about I don't want your type being the face of black men. And I agree. You can be all tough, all controversial, say all kind of clickbaity shit. But when it comes to your front door, you enough of that bullshit.
No.
He said, I'm afraid that white people think that we act like you. That's where I differ a little bit from Dame. I used to worry about what white people think. And a lot of black people still do worry about what white people think. So if you're the type person that worry about what white people think, then yeah, that's a concern. Me personally, the reason why I don't like it is because I'm more concerned about what young black men think when they see us older black men. That's more my concern. I can care less about what a white person thinks about any of this shit. They got mass shooter problems and assassin problems to deal with. White folks have way bigger fish to fry than to be thinking about us. So if a white person chooses, like gang culture, they choose to not look at themselves like they do right now with the Charlie Kirk situation. They choose to not look at themselves, but to look at me instead. That's on you. I don't give a fuck about what they think. But it does matter. And what Dame's saying does matter. And a lot of people do think that people like Charlamagne is how black folks think. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of our youth think that's how you're supposed to think. Because they see the men doing it. And so in society, consequences and rewards rule behaviors. Let me say that again. Consequences and rewards rule behavior. And when the youth see the rewards going to these men that talk about bussies and gossip all goddamn day, while the men who talk straight down the middle deal with things face to face in a calm manner gets marginalized, that influences the behavior of the next generation. Yeah, Danny. Yeah, I remember that when they had Sister Soldier on the show and she had to turn it back because of how he was talking, all that creepy shit. He was saying, yeah. So what Dame is talking about carries over beyond physical fighting. Are you willing to confront your problems when they come your way? Or do you weasel out of shit and act like a weasel? Y'all remember what Kwame Brown used to call him? Charlamagne, you old weak weasel. That should be funny as fuck when Kwame Brown said that. You old weak weasel. Although Kwame be acting like a little weasel when it comes to how he be elevating them white folks, boy. That should be funny. But salute to his channel. Yeah, goof troop ass dudes, TY. Yeah. So that's what we talked about today, what you missed. I want to talk about this interview from an angle that most people aren't covering. Most people are talking about, he don't really own it. He's not really the chairman. Yeah, he is the chairman for 30 days. It wasn't Cap. Now, he grossly misrepresented. He made it seem as if he's the permanent chairman, except for he did say that one time for the next 30 days. The way he said it would lead you to believe that he's the permanent chairman, when the fact is he's the chairman for 30 days. And you can do a lot in 30 days, Rashawn Gray. Were you right about that? But I need y'all to subscribe to the Patreon, the new music university level, college level academic presentations is what I do over there. I'm about to upload all my. Well, I do have most of my other lectures uploaded, and we're going to start the second Sunday in October. We're going to start our R&B, history of R&B, a 10-part course on the in-depth history of R&B and how we got to the present. That's going to be up on the Patreon music university level tier. All right. Thank y'all again for listening. Make sure y'all pay attention and listen beyond, and don't just because everybody is taking this point of view, don't just follow it. Most people are going to go ahead and talk about the Cap. They're going to talk about Jay. He's always hating on Jay-Z or all this and all that. No, take the game. Take the game. All right. Thank y'all again for listening. I got a show tonight, the Melody Bar. I'm just gonna be on stage working it out. If I'm still awake, if I still have energy after I get off stage tonight, I come back and talk to y'all. If not, I'll holler at y'all tomorrow.